Welcome back, everybody. It is Florida State week. It was Florida State week. Your Miami Hurricanes defeated the Florida State Seminoles 36-14 at home. It was amazing. We covered 21.5 point spread, 22-point victory. Petrie, how we doing?
Yeah, I'm feeling very, very good. I like that you mentioned the odds right at the front. I know a lot of people don't place a lot of weight into the odds because they think that Vegas gets things wrong very much of the time. But at the same time, these people make money to get these things correct. So minus 21 and a half, we do cover by the skin of our teeth, winning by 22. But as they say, good teams win, great teams cover. And I'm very happy with the overall result. I think fans might have been more pleased with a better offensive performance, but at the same time, you can win a game off of field goals with Borregales and PATs, death by a thousand paper cuts, and the end result was we did cover. So you can't really be too upset at the end of the day. We did better than what the people who professionally predict how things are supposed to go. We did better than they expected.
Yeah, and you mentioned this to me earlier when we were talking before we went live. 21.5 points. That is a big spread for a rivalry game, especially one that's as competitive and heated as Miami Florida State. And I think to cover when it's an irregularly large spread in a rivalry game, it's impressive. So, um, man, FSU is bad. I that was kind of my main takeaways. They are really bad this year, like really bad.
And they are really bad, and that's
Yeah,
totally fair to bring up. The old expression is you are what your record says that you are, but at the same time, we need to not overlook having a nice quality conference win over a heated rival.
yeah,
Florida State, they spend a lot of money, time, and effort on their football program. It's not like we were playing a community college. It's not like we were playing some slack Division II or some high school team.
yep,
Florida State spends a lot of time, effort, and money on their football program. So even though their record is poor this year, that does not mean that you beat some awful team that did not deserve to be on the field with you.
yeah, absolutely. Um, the first facet of the game that I wanted to highlight was the run game for the Miami Hurricanes. We had 2 weeks in a row now. We've had a really nice run game performance. Damian Martinez, 15 carries, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mark Fletcher, 15 yards, 15 carries, 71 yards, 1 touchdown. Um, that's awesome. 230 yards on the ground, um, 5.8 yards per carry across the board. Like that's a good day. And specifically Damian Martinez, he was kind of slow rolling, getting started as a Hurricane. But wow, the last 2 games, I can't remember exactly what his yards were last week. 89 yards. Um, 2 really good games in a row for him.
And that's exactly what you want to see because everybody can say what they want to say about how he started off slow. And that's very fair criticism. You should say that, hey, when we're playing against teams like FAMU and Ball State, why are you not racking up your totals? However, it is nice that once we get into conference play, the serious games where you do need to rely on the running game very much so that he is stepping up to the plate. Just like I said, anybody can say, oh, yeah, during FAMU and Ball State, yeah, we should have been going crazy on them. But thankfully, those are games where we did not need to rely on the running game. Well, guess what? We played against Florida State today, and they made it their life mission to just make sure that Cam Ward did not go nuclear on them. And what happened? Mark Fletcher Jr. and may senior rest in peace, and Damian Martinez decided to play very, very, very nice football games today.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really liked it. And it's funny because I didn't feel like pass protection was that great today, but the run blocking was. So, kind of a weird game when that's the result. You're having a hard time protecting the passer. However, you can run the ball effectively. So kudos to the
But
offensive
look at
line.
how Dawson and Mirabal look at how Dawson and Mirabal schemed it up. Because just as I was mentioning, Florida State was set to take Cam Ward out of the game. So they're sending very, very heavy pressure with their offensive line. And they do have a talented offensive line, make no mistake about it. Florida State does. But that's when you get the opportunity with a strong running back who can go right up the middle. And that's when you get those little 4 yards here, 7 yards here, 10 yards there, you know.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the names of the game. I've been saying it all season on this show. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. I think Dawson and Mirabal are content to let the running back room be that. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. It doesn't have to be these big, crazy Marshall Faulk, LaDainian Tomlinson style runs.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just run up the middle, you get 4, 5, 6 yards, you get the first down, and you move on.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it worked. You know what? Um, Cam Ward tonight, uh, at least my take, he looked a little bit off. He was missing some throws that normally he would make. Florida State did a really nice job getting defensive pressure, and as you mentioned that they were game planning for him. I think they were pretty effective in that, and so it was good timing. What was your overall thought on how the passing game went tonight?
So the passing game, I think it's very obvious to say that we struggled with the passing game. However, we know that Florida State was set to do that. That's what their goal was tonight. They wanted to make sure that Cam Ward did not go absolutely bananas on them and have another one of those 300 plus yards, getting up to 350 with 3 or 4 touchdown games.
Yeah.
And they were content to let us take little small things either over the middle or within the running game. And that's the way it is. But I did also say this during the game. I had a tweet and I said, just be patient. You cannot force the passing game. Just please accept what they are giving you. No, we're not going to end up beating Florida State by 40. But what did we do? We won by 22. That's 3 touchdowns. You don't beat teams by 3 touchdowns every day. You
Yeah.
play a nice, clean game, and you walk out of there with a roughly 30-10 ish kind of win.
Yeah. Yeah. You know me, like I have I have some complaints that I could make about how we played today, but you know, as I'm still digesting it, one of the things that I think is a huge positive is that, you know, as you said, we played a very clean game, very clean performance from the offense in the sense of like, even though parts of our game plan were being shut down by the FSU defense, we did not turn the ball over. We did not make boneheaded plays that took points off the board. Maybe we got more field goals than we wanted, as opposed to getting touchdowns. But we did not take ourselves out of it, right? We just chunked away and ended up winning by it. It looked like it was going to be 4 scores, and then they, scored that last second touchdown to make it 3. But really nice performance considering that, Florida State's offense is an absolute stinker of a day. Like terrible. Both QBs were terrible. It felt like every time they got a first down, it was genuinely worth celebrating because of how rare they were tonight for Florida State. But their defense turned in a solid performance. So, credit to our offense, credit to the game planning, credit to the discipline. It's actually nice to say a nice disciplined performance from the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and to kind of transition into that, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get my Boregalis praise out of the way early on this episode. 3 for 3 on PATs. Everybody wants to act like those are free money, which they are not. Those are not automatic in the college game. And he was also 3 for 3 on field goals, with 2 of those being deeper than 40 yards. Those are absolutely not free in the college game. So
Yeah.
big shout out to Boregalis regarding that. And as far as the overall offensive performance goes, like, yeah, Florida State went with a bend, don't break approach. That's the way it goes sometimes. But you got to sometimes take what they give you, be patient, and then let your overall talent overwhelm them. That is why Cristobal recruits the kind of guys who he does. And thank God he's a phenomenal recruiter, because that's the difference in these kinds of games. In
Yeah.
years past, that kind of a game where we're like, oh my God, the quarterback hasn't thrown any touchdowns and we're relying on Andy to bail us out. Oh my God. That's not a thing anymore. That's
Yeah.
not a thing anymore. Fortunately, we have enough talent that eventually you just play a nice, clean, efficient game. It will overcome.
Yeah. 225 yards from our, top two running backs, 3 touchdowns from those guys. So, you know, Andy scored a whole bunch of points, as you said. That'd be 3 field goals, 3 PATs, 12 points from Andy, 12 points from Damian Martinez, 6 from Mark Fletcher. Um, and Cam Ward receiving touchdown. That was pretty cool.
So the Cam Ward touchdown streak is alive.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because you know
Receiving
what it was? It
touchdown.
was actually Virginia Tech today. I'm drawing a blank on his name. His last name is Drones, I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I can't think
so
of his last name, but or first
they
name.
Virginia Tech had 3 touchdowns today, and they said he was responsible for all of them. He had 1 passing, 1 rushing, and 1 receiving. And I said it's only so apropos that his cousin Cam Ward
Yeah.
would have a receiving touchdown on the same day. Why?
Yeah.
How do 2 quarterbacks that are cousins both have receiving touchdowns on the same day? It's football is a crazy thing.
Poetry.
Absolutely poetry.
Um,
Um, man, but I will
yeah,
say,
yeah.
what's
I
going to be
you know,
very popular with fans is they're going to say that the secondary was bad, but we have to acknowledge that 2 weeks in a row, if you actually do look at the final overall performance, the secondary was better than what it might have looked like on the field at the time. It looks like we're getting gashed and it looks like we're getting killed out there sometimes. But at the end of the day, last week against Louisville, they threw the ball over 50 times, did not get up to 350 yards. So that's a very low yards per attempt. And then today, the Florida State rotated quarterbacks, which that is a very, very solid indicator that your defense is playing well, that they don't know which quarterback they should put in, first things first. Secondly, they only went for, you were telling me before the show, I said under 4, but you said 3.6 yards per attempt, and their only passing touchdown was garbage time at the end of the game when we had backups in. You have to look at these things through the lens of the normal flow of the game, the natural flow of the game. You can't just look at the end and be like, well, they did throw a touchdown. Yeah, a garbage time touchdown. We're not too worried about that. We were already up 3 touchdowns, backups were in, we're okay. The secondary has performed better than what it might have looked like on the field, and better than how fans have reacted online.
yeah. I would say, if so, I would actually kind of lump this performance in with our performances with Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville. I actually thought we largely played a similar game. There was a little bit less urgency because it was less competitive overall. We played a much worse team today than those other 3 schools this year. But I think largely similar performance, similar. If I'm trying to look at patterns and themes, and I'm giving green flags and red flags and yellow flags to the performance. Um, you know, Very similar pattern to what we've seen the last 3 weeks, in my opinion. I do think the secondary was not a problem for us today. The other main issue we've had in that 4-game stretch was, kind of our tackling and the angles that we're taking, especially the linebackers. That was still rough today. That was rough today on defense, in my opinion. The secondary was not nearly as bad as they have been in previous weeks. I'm with you on that. They turned in a very nice performance. Um, I didn't think today was necessarily about the Canes being much improved. I think maybe it was a more polished performance, but I actually think we're starting to get a sense for who this Hurricanes team is, right? I do think that there is a sense of like the defense is a weak spot, right? Especially in the middle of the defense. The secondary, could use some work. Um, on the offensive side of the ball, um, you know, like this week, maybe I've changed the way that I describe it in that Cam Ward at times can seem like he's sleepwalking a little bit through the game, until he needs to turn it on, and then he's there. Never really had to turn it on today, so we didn't see Cam Ward like hit that extra gear that he's been hitting in these last 3 games in the fourth quarter. We never really saw it today. He didn't have to, but it does kind of feel like he sleepwalks a little bit here and there. I just think that's who this team is, and I think I'm going to be adjusting my expectations. Going to have a lot more modest expectations for when we play a team like I think Duke is fairly frisky, Syracuse is fairly frisky, and if we get the chance to play SMU or Clemson in the ACC championship game, I will be tempering my expectations a little bit. I think especially a team like Clemson. I'm not sure we should be favored over Clemson, and I certainly don't think that we're like a considerably better team than Clemson is.
So you make multiple interesting points right there. First things first, let's get the Clemson monster out of the way. I don't believe that we should be favored over Clemson. If somebody said like, "Hey, it's a straight up," I don't know if this is the right gambling terms, but it's a push, right? Like you wouldn't be surprised if Clemson won by 3 or less. You wouldn't be surprised if Miami won by 3 or less. I would completely understand that. I would not expect either team to be favored by more than 4 or 5 points if that game was played tomorrow. So that's first things first. Let's get Clemson out of the way. Secondly, and probably, well, I shouldn't say probably, maybe not as important, but more pressing right here, right now. SMU and Duke are tied at 21 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And we, as Miami, need Duke to win that game. If Duke does end up winning this game, it is, in my opinion, fairly likely that they are ranked next week for this matchup against Miami. And not only does that help us with style points, which I'm a big fan of style points, I do think they matter. Everybody wants to say a dub is a dub. I have never liked the expression that a win is a win. I do not like that. As Duke misses a field goal like a bunch of bums. But anyway,
yeah, I know
style
that
points matter.
yeah,
We need Duke to win this game, not just because they might be ranked and then that gives us an opportunity to beat a ranked team, but also because of the ACC tiebreaker rules, in which if Miami, Clemson, and SMU all finish undefeated in conference play of ACC play, it is better for Miami if Duke has a higher strength of schedule, or excuse me, not a strength of schedule, rather, but a better record because we play them. We do not play SMU. If we played SMU, it might be better if they won this game.
Yeah.
So a couple of challenging dynamics about this ACC race down the stretch.
Yeah, and one interesting dynamic, just this is totally an aside because it's relationships past, but even though it's Manny Diaz versus Rhett Lashley, right? Even though it helps us for Duke to win, I feel icky cheering for Manny Diaz over Rhett Lashley. Like, I know it helps us, and you're right. I think you make a great point. We need it. I'm not sure I can actively cheer for Duke right now. So,
and I'm with you because, and that's one of the tough things to reconcile about all these crazy tiebreaker rules is because the heart says one thing, but the brain says another thing. So that's where it gets particularly challenging. But I don't want to make this an SMU Duke show on the night that Miami beats our greatest rival by more than 3 touchdowns. Maybe we should try to get a little bit back on track. Now, I do want to say the tail of the game might be that Borregales made field goals, but also we need to understand that Mike Norvell was playing this game. I don't want to say scared because he obviously took his chances, but he was playing the game scared because he knew he had to go for it on 4th down. There was no chance that he played the field position because he knew that we were going to eventually get our points.
Yeah.
But they failed on 4th down many times. Apart from the first half touchdown that they did get on 4th down, I wish we would have stopped them there. They were 2 for 6 or 2 for 5 otherwise. So, in other words, if we would have stopped that one touchdown in the second quarter, This game ends up being 30-something to 7. We hold them to 1 of 5 conversions on 4th down. So, you feel pretty good about how it went, regarding that 4th down conversions. We did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to I mean, we were talking about a little bit, at least just the vibe of how Florida State, and I've been trying to think of how to to describe it, but the feeling that it kept giving me, like their approach offensively is like when you're playing NCAA and you're in a dynasty mode, you're Louisiana Monroe and you're playing against number 1 Alabama on the road, and like you're calling that game 10 yards at a time, right? Like like every first down is survival. And that's how Florida State approached this game. And it kind of laughable, honestly. Um, you know, especially coming off a season where they started 13-0, to be living 10 yards at a time against your rival, just
They
9 months
they are
later.
they are the first team in the last 70 years to go undefeated in a regular season, and then the following season start 1-7.
Yeah,
So the fall off has been
yeah,
70 years. That's basically 3 generations worth of suck.
yeah. A rough performance from ACC championship quarterback Brock Glenn.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I don't need to rehash it from last week, but you know what I gotta say. Fuck Florida State. I said fuck DJ Uiagalelei last week, but unfortunately he was injured. I didn't even realize that he was not playing. So
yeah.
hey, I hope he does recover fully. But at the end of the day, he did choose Florida State, so fuck him too.
I'm with you. Um, man, what a good night.
No, it
Uh,
was good. And I mean, what else can we really touch on? Oh, I do have to say, this was very cool. This was from earlier in the year, and this is probably, or excuse me, earlier in the week, rather. I caught a Heisman specialty program that ESPN was running, and they had Andre Ware and Tim Tebow on that. And what I thought was very cool was Andre Ware, who won the Heisman in 1989 for Houston. He actually compared Cam Ward. Now, I've been comparing Cam Ward to Dwayne Wade. I've been saying he's like a bigger, more physical version of Dwayne Wade, just as smooth, just as silky, but a little bit bigger and more physically imposing, right? And so he compares Cam Ward to Luka Doncic. I know that's your boy. And that really does make sense, because what is Luka Doncic except for a bigger, stronger kind of Dwayne Wade who can shoot threes? Like, they
yeah,
do have a similar calmness, a focus, almost kind of seems like they're operating in slow motion at times. And yet they seem to know what's going on before it even happens.
yeah. I'm actually convinced that Andre Ware saw you make that comparison and thought, well, I can't steal that. So
It would
I'll
have
just
been
I'll
it would
just
have
give
been
a
too
parallel.
obvious.
Yeah, I'll just give a parallel. So I can't steal that from Petrie. Good guy.
Man. What else? I know I do also, I gotta say, I would be remiss. I have to say it again. I said it last week. His numbers don't always jump off the stat sheet. And I know I'm saying this about a guy who's about to end up number 1 at Miami and everything.
Yeah,
But Xavier Restrepo, the kid has got gravity. He's got pull. There was a play early in the game where we were in the red zone. He went right over the middle. They had a linebacker spy on him and a safety over the top. You're talking about a short Colombian dude, and you've got that kind of attention on him at wide receiver.
yeah,
Okay, the guy's not Justin Jefferson. Why are you double teaming him with everybody on the planet? Okay,
yeah,
he's got gravity, and that really does open things up for other receivers. And what I love about his attitude and his mentality is that he embraces it. A lot of times, wide receivers are divas and they say, "Where's my catches? Where's my targets? Where's my touchdowns?" And that's fair. You do get roughed up every now and again. So you deserve to have a touchdown every now and again. You deserve to throw your hands up and say, "That was me on that first down. I'm the one that got that." But Restrepo embraces the fact that he's like, hey, the fact that they're double teaming me, that means something. I might not get a first down here, I might not get a touchdown here, but somebody else might. And that's because they are focusing so much energy and attention on the big dog right here, XR7, baby.
I love it. Um, so one note that I was thinking about as well, Mario Cristobal. So we score a touchdown to go up 29-7. We go for two. In fact, while we were marching down to score that touchdown, uh, and that was the Cam Ward receiving touchdown. I don't know if you noticed, but the commentary from ESPN, they were saying, Miami should just kneel the ball here, or run the ball, let the clock run out. Like typically teams would just milk the clock here. It doesn't seem like Miami's going to do that. Kudos to Mario Cristobal. This is a rivalry game. And he had a quote about it 2 years ago when Florida State blew us out last time they were in Miami. They asked Mario about it after the game, and he said, their job is to score. Our job is to stop them from scoring. And he said, I'm not worried about that. One day the shoe's going to be on the other foot. And, maybe it wasn't as like bombastic of a blowout as 2 years ago when Florida State got the best of us. However, I appreciate the attitude from Mario Cristobal. Scores a touchdown, goes for two. We get another chance to score, and he is not holding up. We score again. So 13 points in the last 5 minutes of a game that was already decided. I appreciate it.
No, and I do as well. There's no problem with that. And a lot of people want to talk about sportsmanship. Oh, you're going to run up the score. The game's already in hand. The only time that I feel that you should take a knee is when it is literally strategically advantageous to you. So, hey, we're up by 4, and mathematically, all we need to do is take a knee, and the clock runs out. We end the game. All right, at that point, you take a knee. Bro, y'all are up 20 points. Throw the ball again. Let's see if we can get a touchdown. And if they don't like it, I don't care. I don't care. You want to be mad? It doesn't matter to me. We run up the score. Yeah, we run up the score. You don't like it? Keep us out of the end zone. That's your job, just like it's our job to keep you out of the end zone. I'm not upset at all about the fact that they would go for that. Like you said, very, very happy, pleased, proud, whatever word you want to use. I love the fact that he kept his foot on the gas until the end. Let's go. Let's try to at least get in field goal position and make something respectable, whatever the case might be. Go for the touchdown.
Yep. And, college and NFL are two very different games in this regard, specifically, in my opinion. In the NFL, style points do not matter. You play 17 games, everyone picks up a lot of losses. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your record's your record. That determines your destiny, right? In college, however, as we can see, because we have 3 one-loss teams ranked ahead of us, style points matter. And also, we have a starting quarterback who transferred in, who's chasing the Heisman Trophy right now. So getting him his stats, getting us our style points, that stuff actually is important. So not to diminish sportsmanship, I'm actually an advocate for sportsmanship. However, in college football, they de-incentivize you from milking the clock and taking a knee when you could be scoring points and padding your stats, right? So, it was the best thing for the program. It was the best thing for the team this season, and it's the best thing for our starting quarterback and our ability to recruit other quarterbacks to come play here if we can get our QB a Heisman to pad stats, run the score up, and plus send a message to to all the recruits in the state of Florida. We didn't just win the what do they call it? The Florida Cup. We didn't just win it; we emphatically won it this year.
Yeah, because 41-17, so that's a 24-point win, and then 22 tonight, so that's an average. We won the Florida Cup by an average of 23 points per game.
Yep, and we didn't have these crazy blowouts. However, there was not a single moment in either of those games where there was a question of who the better team was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not at all. I mean, if you really want to get down to brass tacks, you can say we beat both of the other main, major Florida teams by more than 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
you can say whatever you want about, oh, it should have been closer, it should have been yardage, it should have been this, certain penalties, blah, blah, blah. You can say whatever you would like to say about that. And there might be marginal points. You know, if we would have won by, let's see, I don't know, like how FSU did last year, they won by 7 when we had the ball near the end of the game. You could make an argument, oh, maybe it could have gone another way. There was no point during this game, nor the Florida game, where you thought that the Gators or the Seminoles were going to win that game. There was not a singular moment of either of those games where you thought they even had a chance.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's fantastic. It sends a message, and recruiting's important. Recruiting's important. The Heisman's important. All this stuff is important. Keep your
They had
foot
a
on the
lot
gas.
of they had a lot of recruits at the game tonight. I don't really know all the specifics on the names, but DJ Pickett, 5-star. He's a LSU commit. I am drawing a blank on the kid's name, but we have an Ohio State commit there. He was a 4-star, I want to say linebacker or defensive end. I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But we had a great list of recruits at that game tonight. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Showed them that we can win a nice, clean game by 3 touchdowns. So imagine what happens when we're banging on all cylinders.
Yeah. And, I can't remember which recruiting analyst it was. I believe it was Gabby. But, I can't remember for certain. Said this was like the biggest recruiting weekend that we had in recent memory. So to cover the spread, 3-score win over Florida State, it's important.
100% agree. I feel like we're beating a dead horse on this one now. I mean, maybe the way Miami was beating a dead horse earlier tonight by that late touchdown when we were already up a little bit. But I don't want to pile on too bad. Maybe I'll save some of that for the Twitter trolls. But maybe we should wrap this one up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Amazing win, Miami over Florida State. Always feels good. Feels good just to say it. Might say it again.
The black uniforms are not cursed.
Yeah, right. That's a great thing as well. But anyways, I'm Jordan Petrie. About the fans, make sure you check out the website, check out the Twitter feed, all of your South Florida sports needs. You can find them there, aboutthefans.com, @aboutthefans on Twitter. Check us out. And then until next time, against Duke. We'll catch you then, guys. Go Canes.
Go Canes. Fuck Florida State.